Hello everybody, this is our third lesson about databases, and now in this lecture we will learn how to insert data into our database. In previous lecture, as you remember, we learned how to create our database with these codes, right? And also we learned how to create our tables. It's here. And now we will learn how to insert data into our database. Actually, we will learn two things about inserting. First one is normal insert data, and we will not use variables. And after that, we will learn how to create variables and actually how to insert variable data into our database. Okay, let's get started. Firstly, I want to create here another function, and I will say def dot enter data. Its names. Okay, it is simple to use functions to for database, so I create database here. Okay, and here of course I need to create here again cursor, and after that execute the very similar codes. Okay, and I will say cursor dot execute, and after that here what I will say double quotes, and after that uppercase capital letters. Okay, insert, you can use of course small letters, lower cases, but it is better to use capital letters. Okay, insert into our table name was employee, right? Employee. And after that, what I need to say here values. Let's say values, and now I will type my values between parentheses. Okay, first one, what we need to know here, my first value is string value, so what I need to use here, I need to use quotes here. Okay, because it is string value. If I use integer value, I don't need to use quotes, but for the string value I need to use quotes. Okay, so the first one is, let's say for example, for the name George, and as you remember, let's open our database here, and let's see our columns here, the component database. Now as you remember here, our columns, first one is name, and other one is surname, age, address, and salary. Here, as if we check here the name, surname, and the address, all of them is text value, right? But age and salary is integer. Okay, and now let's also browse our table. As you see, it is empty, there is nothing inside. So now we will add some data into our database. Okay, and here what is next? It was surname, right? So the surname, I will say again quotes, single quotes, and I will say, let's say blue. You can input whatever you want. Okay, and other one, it was age. For the age, I don't need to use quotes, so I will say 35. And for the address, it is string text value, so let's say Los Angeles. Okay, and comma, and last one was salary. Salary is integer value, so I need to use quotes. I will say here, for example, 3,500. Okay, and then last thing I will say here, my connection object is con dot commit. That's all. Okay, now we done. Here what I will say, I need to call my function, right? So before this one, let's create table. Let's make it command line, because we don't need to use it again. We already create our table. Okay, so how I can, the shortcut to do it, you can press Control and the plus slash. Okay, and you can make command line with Control plus slash. And now I will call my function here, and I will say enter data, and after that we done. Now let's run our code, and after that let's check our database, and as you see, it said process finished with exit code 0. That's fine, we didn't get any error. Let's check our database. Here I will come to here, show in folder, and now company, employee, right? I will say browse table. As you see now here, my all values is here. George Blue 35 age, and address is Los Angeles, and salary is 3,500. This is how we can insert data into our database. Okay, and the other things is I want to show you how we can insert variables into our database. It's so simple, and before that I want to create some inputs here. First one is name. I will say name is equal to input, and I will say here please enter an employee name. Okay, and for the surname I will say surname is equal to input, please enter a surname, employee surname, or doesn't matter, surname. Okay, and the age is, I will say here, but for age is integer value, so I will say int and input. Okay, input, and I will say please enter an age. Okay, and other one was address. Address is equal to input, please enter address. And the last one, we had 5 columns, right? So the last one was salary. Salary, it was integer value, so I will say salary is equal to integer and input. Okay, here I will say salary. For the salary, please enter salary of employee. Okay, we done with our inputs, and after that what I need to do, I need to create my definition function for variables. Okay, how we can enter this data into our database. To that I will create another definition, and I will say here def enter variables. Okay, and here I will say what I need to use here variable names as argument. Okay, what I need to say, I will say for the variables name, surname, age, address, and other one was salary. Okay, we have 5 arguments variables, right? Yes, 1 2 3 4 and 5. That's fine. Okay, let's go on. And after that what I will say here, I will use very similar code like before. Okay, like here I will say cursor dot execute and double quotes, and I will say insert into our table name employee. Okay, and after that I will say here for the values I will say values, and here something different. If we use variables here, I need to use question marks. How many variables I have? 1 2 3 4 and 5, right? So I need to use 5 question marks here. Okay, 3 comma 4 comma and 5. Why it's like that? Actually this is about SQLite, because this is syntax of SQLite. SQLites accept variables with question mark. Okay, for example MySQL it's something different they use, but for SQLite we need to use question marks if we use variables. Okay, and after that here after quote I need to say comma, and now I will say parentheses. Okay, and here my columns name. First one is name. Okay, name, sorry, it was be small letters, name, surname, and other one is age, and other one address was, and the last one was salary. Okay, and here what I need to say again, I need to say here like before our connection object dot commit. Okay, we done with it, and what I need to do here, actually here we set create table, and also we used also this one, right? Enter variable and enter data. Let's also make this one is command line. Okay, this one is enough. We don't only, I will say control plus. Okay, and here what I need to do, last thing I need to call my definition, okay, and I will say enter data. But something else here, as you remember, we have 5 arguments here, right? So I need to give these arguments again. I will say here for the arguments name, surname, age, address, and the last one was salary, okay. And also let's put here columns like this, columns, okay, and columns, it's and out columns like here, okay. And now I will run my codes and I will say run. As you see, it said please enter an employee name. Let's say for example Martin, okay. Enter a surname, let's say Martin Yellow, doesn't matter, okay, and age 33, and please enter an address, let's say again Los Angeles, okay, and salary of employee, let's say 5,000. Before running it, I want to open my database, okay, and let's say show in Explorer here. This one is, let's open this one, our database and employee, browse table. As you see, I have only one record here, right? And now if I pressed now here enter, let's see what it said. It said enter data takes 0 position arguments but 5 were given. Enter data is here, sorry, it's enter data. I need to say enter variables, right? Okay, enter variables, now is correct. Now let's run it again. Now I will say here Martin again, Martin Yellow, age is 33, address is, let's say again Los Angeles. For the employee of salary, let's say 6,000. What is wrong again? Let's say, and line 29 in module, enter variables name, surname, address, salary, no such table, employee, sorry, here it is employee asset, enter variables, employee, okay. Now I think it's fine, employee and something else, enter variables, right, and name, surname. This one is, I think now is fine. Let's run it again. Let's say again Martin Yellow. Yellow is not good, so I will say something like say orange, okay. Age is 25, address is, and employee is salary of 5,000, okay. And now it's process finished with exit code 0, so it's worked. Let's check our database now, showing folder. Before we had only one record, now it should be 2, browse table. As you see, now we have 2 records here. This is how we can add data into our database with normal data, not normal data, and also with variables. That's all. See you in the next.